That was the trailer for Silent Planet, Elegy of the Dying World, of a Dying World. Did I get that right, folks?
Yes, the last
Okay.
Yeah,
piece.
yeah.
And legend has it that these folks over here, sorry, I need to figure out the camera and all that, are responsible of that game, among other folks. So how are you doing, you two? How are you feeling?
Hi, Constantin. Really good to talk to you. Doing
Yeah,
good.
Absolutely
thanks for
lovely.
you.
How about you?
I'm doing great. Every time I look at the but like at that trailer, I'm like, how can people like doing pixel art have so much fluidity when there are motions involved, you know? Because well, initially when I came across pixel games, nothing was really fluid. It was very bare bones, and now we get titles, for example, like The Last Fate and all that, which take the pixel art animation to another level. And I believe you are taking this this type of genre to another level, and I'm really glad to talk to you and learn a bit more of how you're doing that. But
Well, of course. Yeah, go
before
ahead, go
all
ahead.
that, before a few people gather, please tell us a little bit about yourselves. Like, what's your story? What's your superhero origin story? Which one of you wants to start?
Go ahead, James.
Okay, perfect. I will say more, less of a superhero origin, more like an anti-hero origin.
Lovely.
I prefer anti-heroes, but yeah, I started in the industry like several years ago, more than 10 years ago, in different companies, indie companies, and all. And I did pretty much everything. Like I did game design, I did 3D art, I was a lead artist. I did game design, narrative design as well later on different
Mm-hmm.
systems. And here we are with all that experience. We have started this game together with Virginie.
Mm-hmm. How about yourself, Virginie? How? What's your story?
So me,
Are you
Virginie.
also an anti-hero? Are you a villain? What are you?
Hmm, sometimes a villain, I guess. In my producer work.
Are you a villain, or do people see you as a villain? That's the question.
I'm an misunderstood villain.
I just want to do
um,
evil. Nobody understands me. No. All right, go ahead.
yes, so I'm the producer and also the art director on Silent Planet. So me, my background is mostly in actually traditional art. So I started really with painting, drawing, all that good stuff. And then I started working with James actually in another company as a concept artist and lead concept artist actually. And then now I'm art director and work really, really talented pixel artists and concept artists as well. So yeah, that's pretty much our story.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna ask you to speak a little bit louder so people can hear you.
Oh yes, of course, of course.
Lovely. Well, I've been meeting a lot of people who have been making the transition, or not necessarily making the transition, but people who started in traditional art and then came across digital, or people who started in digital and they came across like traditional, and most of them kind of blend the two. So what is sort of
Mm.
your process when it comes to art? Like, you started in traditional, now you need to also do digital. Like, how do you combine the two?
Yes, so it's kind of interesting because when I met James 15 years ago, because we're also a couple, I think it's important to specify. So when I first met James, I actually didn't like digital art, so
Yeah.
it's
I
kind
was
of funny.
about
I was
to think that you
yeah.
when I first met James, I didn't really like him.
The digital art, I had like misconceptions about it. I thought it was easy. I thought that I didn't understand exactly what people did with a computer. And then when I transitioned, I understood
Mhm.
that you could have brushes, you could have anything good about traditional art. So then I fell in love with it, and now I really like it.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Now, how do you kind of combine the two? For example, if you had to work on a piece, for example, so we have a tangible example, do you combine the two, or did you have to combine the 2?
Well, before sometimes I would do like a sketch
Mm-hmm.
in traditional, and then I would scan it and then continue on the computer. But now, honestly, I'm mostly just digital because it's so much faster. Undo, select a piece, scale up, and so it's so much faster. And there's so many nice brushes and nice programs now in digital. So it's pretty much all digital for me now, and I really like it. So.
Do you still do traditional, just for the sake of the good old days?
Ah, when we went to TGS, I actually did a bit of sketching on site because we
Mm.
were in Japan. So I took out my sketchbook and I like appreciated the feel of paper, everything like that. So yeah, sometimes from time to time, whenever I can.
Mm. Oh, lovely. Now to get a little bit more into the meat of it. Not really, because there's actually a story of starting, the company and the game, and I believe it's becoming the story of many people nowadays because they get laid off, they lose their roles, and
Exactly.
after that, what's next? Well, we're not here to talk about that and to be all sorry and all that, but maybe there are people like you who also want to start their own project and maybe they need ideas, a little bit of guidance, so maybe they can take inspiration from what both of you did. So can you tell us a little bit about how like the company started and the game idea started and whatnot?
Do you want to start with you?
I can start, sure.
Okay, good. I'm
Um,
gonna let you start.
so as I said, me and James were working at the same company. Uh, 2 years ago, and for James for around like 9 years, and me for around 7 years. And then we got laid off, so they closed the department of games of that. And the project Silent Planet had already started like a few years ago before we lost the job.
Mhm.
But then we really, in 2023, we really began to work on really more seriously on both the company Vertex Zero and the game itself. So it's a bit of the story of how it went.
Mhm.
Go ahead, James, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, what happened is that we started the idea of Silent Planet as a side project around 20, 2011, probably 2012, like
Mhm.
more than 12, 13 years ago. And I had this little idea, but it was always, coming back, going away. And it was just an idea, just because I used to do a lot of prototypes on the side and all this stuff. And we started thinking seriously the day that we lost the job. We needed to do something different to what we were doing previously. That we saw that we were doing another project, but it didn't have the same like commercial viability.
Mhm.
So we had to switch to something, all while doing something that we will be passionate about as well. So that's pretty much like the initial spark of how we started working on it.
Mhm. I have a couple of questions for you already, just from what you've told me. But first,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, of course.
curious,
Mm.
what were some of the... I don't want to say challenges because people in corporate say they are not struggles, they are not problems, they are challenges, they are opportunities. No.
Oh no, there was struggling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
So I wanna don't wanna bring you down. Like, how did you struggle? What was the nitty gritty? Like I want to understand what were some of your struggles and how did you solve them. So maybe there are people who confront those same struggles or who will. So they can are kind of have of a baseline. So what were some of the problems that you encountered? Which one of you wants to start?
All right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Maybe you have something. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I will say that, of course, the first struggle is that you are laid off of a company, so your morale goes down right away. You know, even if it's the nicest, you know, the nicest way, even if the bosses they are super nice, but they have to cut the department because their company is suffering
It
loss.
still feels like
No
shit.
matter what, exactly, you still feel like shit, and you need to. First step is that you're gonna struggle to feel better, because then you start thinking money. How we're gonna do it. We didn't have a lot of money. We had other issues. When you have a house, when you have payments, you have this and that. And so that was the first moment that we were in the dark. Like we didn't know what to do, and we
Mhm.
had to find a way to. So I will say that the most important thing, the first struggle that you need to work out is trying to find that sort of hope. Even if it sounds crazy, you need to try to figure out, can you do it, and be realist as well about it. Like trying to establish a plan. It's sort of like a survival plan. You need to say, can I do it, and is it going to work, and if it doesn't work, very important, if it doesn't work, what else can I do. So that's how we start trying to figure out in the coldest way. Even if we were really desperate, it gets really difficult, but trying to figure out how we can survive, how we can save money, what we should do, how we can establish the company, how we do the game as well, because you have to be creative while
Mhm.
being, down. So that's why it's very important to try to find that strength, in the difficulty, to try to create something.
Mhm.
Yeah, to take inspiration from it, basically. Yeah,
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 which is difficult,
yeah.
but really
It
difficult.
was difficult, but I
Yeah,
remember the first day on the drive back when me and James lost the job. We were already talking about, okay, what's the
yeah,
plan?
mm,
What are we doing? And then we were like sketching out the plan. Okay, first this, first this.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess never give up. It's easy to say, but never give up is
yeah,
like the best the best thing we can say.
Mhm. Well, many people probably have the same type of story, but not many people manage to get a tangible result or manage to get where you got.
yeah.
So, what do you think worked in your favor? What do you think you folks made to work in your favor?
Well, I think something really important is to also talk to other devs. Surround yourself with other people, not just devs, but also fans and just other people on internet. Don't just get in your little cocoon and don't talk to anybody. It's really important to talk to other people about your idea or your project. Just also if there's any for us in Quebec, there's the guild, the guild du jeu vidéo. So it's an organization that there's devs in the area that talk together and share ideas and share how to start a company. So I think that's also very important to surround yourselves with other people that have been through it, and also to share your ideas so that you see if people resonate with it and it can encourage you as well. So I think that's very important.
Mhm. What
So
what what type
we
of
didn't,
advice did you get from these devs when you talk to them? Like, what did they tell you based on what they went through, so
uh,
you have it easier?
I think I think the first advice that I got was kind of um, it wasn't really a letdown, but it was interesting to hear. It was something like be ready because this is going to be difficult, and like I hope you're ready, something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like okay.
Yeah,
So it was challenging, but it's important also to be real about how it is.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Like I prefer having that kind of advice than like saying it's easy and don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. It has to be real.
Yeah, you have to be ready to listen to other people, but at the same time you need to believe in what you want to do at the same time, because let's suppose in our case we had a lot of good advice, but at the same time we were advised against making a Metroidvania.
Yes.
So and we just kept with the same idea because we knew that we had elements that they were resonating with certain people. So what we did was take, okay, it's resonating much more than the negative advice that we're getting. So at some point you need to also push forward.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. You know, a few minutes ago, James said something interesting about commercial viability, and you also talked about how this project started a little while ago, actually. So, you know, this is a topic that's really interesting for me because when you start developing a game, you don't release it like it's a few months, a few days, and then boom, it's out, it's in the market. It takes 1, 2 years, or maybe more. So, how did you figure out like this is going to be something that people nowadays, or you know, when you are gonna release the game, it's something that people are gonna want to play?
Permit you.
Good.
Okay. I will say that, and I will say that for anything that you do, like whether it's movies or games, you can never say that you're gonna be 100% sure
Mm-hmm.
that it will work. You know, like you can make. There is games that they are fantastic, amazing, and they didn't get enough promotion, or they got just they released it at the same time as other bigger games or whatever. You know, whichever the reason,
Mm-hmm.
and those games they end up getting lost, you know, among the crowd of games that they are released. So they will say that you can never say with certainty that, but you always have to maintain a, how can I say, like you have to check the market at the same time. You need to know what people really resonate with and not what some experts tell you that it's going to resonate. Like, for example, they tell you Metroidvanias don't work. And yet you have a game like Hollow Knight and then Silk Song that worked quite well. And then you have, you know, Blasphemous 2, Last Fate, and etc., you know. So the thing is that those games resonate because at the end of the day, people want to play really good games. They want to get into a world and they want to just have fun, you know. So at the end of the day, that's what you gotta do. You gotta create something that you believe people will resonate. And of course, also you have to ask around. You have to check with people. Like Virginie
Mm-hmm.
said, you have to ask other developers, what do you think? Is my idea viable? A lot of people they're gonna tell you, yeah, that sounds fun. Like one example is that when we presented like the first few screens of our project, one it was at that point I think he was one of the presidents or the La Guilde. He said, guys, you have to present it more. This looks cool. And so that was the initial spark that we said we felt validated and we went for it. We start working more on it, you know, polishing more and so forth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also important for you yourself to believe in the project and for it to be a passion for you. That's also something that we learned,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it really shows through in the project.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just keep ideas for more questions as you speak. So, and this is something that I'm also interested about is, you know, when the passion or the dream kind of fades away, what keeps that discipline there so you can still keep working on the project for you too?
So I
Yeah.
think looking at either looking at old games or looking like at stories from the devs of those like Nintendo games or Super Nintendo games. I think that helps a lot to keep the spark alive,
Mm-hmm.
to inspire ourselves from. Like for example, when we went to TGS, we had the really cool opportunity to meet um, some devs from Metal Slug, and it was like really such an honor for us to meet them. And they said something. They said something really nice to us. They said that it was for them. It was really an honor to see devs like taking the, how do you say, like taking the flambeau in French.
Like the torch.
uh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
taking the torch
Passing the
and
torch. Yeah.
continuing, of course, passing the torch and continuing to work on these types of games. So yeah, so I think that's one of the things that really keeps us going, for sure. And
Mm.
James.
How about yourself,
Yeah,
James?
because well, that was one of the things because I got to meet some of my heroes in Japan of when I was like back in the 80s. I was like 8 years old and I was playing games made by these people, you know. So it was really important for us, but for me, it was really important to meet these people. And like get validated by them, you know. So that was like a gave a lot of validation to what we do. But I will say that at the same time, also when you have to be passionate by something, you know, like you got to have passion for what you do, you know, like if you love something, you're always gonna keep that passion and you're gonna keep working on it to just make it better the best you can, you know. What helps a lot also is when we post online and we get the feedback from players, you know,
Mhm.
and whether they just say that it's super cool, that they like the artwork, they cannot wait to play it, etc., etc. You know, that support is always validating what you do, you know, making you feel like you need to do it. You need to do it so people can enjoy it, you know.
Mhm. The reason I'm asking this because many people, start projects, they're very passionate, and then work needs to be done, and they're still passionate about it, but at some point, the spark doesn't necessarily die, but it dies down because you actually need to do the work and everything. And some people don't take that into account and then don't plan for periods where they need that discipline instead of just passion because you can be passionate 24/7. That's a general
Exactly.
truth. So you need to have a few systems in place that keep you working on the project because passion comes and goes. But
Well, I
I would
agree.
say
go
that.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, yeah, because I think it depends on the perspective of where the person is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
If a person wanted to make a game and never did games before, it's irrealistic to just maintain just passion. You're gonna have to gather the knowledge, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
based on that, you're gonna have to do a lot of like prototypes. Like for example, me, even before being in the game industry, I've been doing prototypes and small demos and things since like 98, 97,
Mm-hmm.
98, you know. So it was always a process of making stuff just for the fun, just for my pleasure, just for learning, you know, learning whether it was programming, game design, etc., you know. So I will say that something very important is to gather the knowledge first and then try
Mm-hmm.
to develop the that dream game that you want. The other in the other corner, you have people that come from, let's suppose, AAA, and because when I worked in the companies that I worked at previously, they were like indie companies. So we were like around when I started, like around we start as 5 people, we ended up being around 30, and the development was really a lot of overtime, you know, a lot of hard work, and we weren't many to, so we had to do a lot, you know, like each person had to do a lot. So you are used to just doing a lot of things, you know, whether you are an
Mm-hmm.
artist and you have to do the art, the textures, this, that, or the programmer, porting, etc., you know. But in AAA, because I know a lot of people in those companies, their their mentality, not their mentality, but how they work is different. They are always in large groups, you know, they are well supported. So the problem is that then when they want to start making a game, they bring that structure. They bring the AAA structure mentality, you know, to work on a game. So then they start having right away a producer that is just a producer, you know, 3 gameplay designers, just 3 or 4 programmers. The games grow too much, and most of the time they end up failing because they don't keep the mentality, like the indie mentality of doing a lot and knowing how to do a lot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big difference.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And I think a good way to maintain that passion actually is to continue on something that James was saying. The fact that you have all of these different tasks to do,
Yeah.
it can actually help because you're switching from one thing to the next. Like, for example, me, if I'm like, if I'm working on Jira and like tasks and stuff, and like the producer work, and then I switch to making concept art. So like just that little switch, it keeps
Variety is
the
the
energy
spice of
going.
life.
Yeah,
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 exactly.
exactly, exactly.
Exactly.
Good way to say it.
Exactly.
All right. We've been talking a lot about what to do, how, and when, but now comes the question about the game. Why the heck do we have vampires in space? Where did that idea come from?
You want to start with me or?
Well, you can start with explaining with the movie that it was inspired by. Go ahead.
Okay. when when we started this project, we were working previously on something else on the side mostly. So that's how the company started back on 2019. It was more a side project for us, and we were doing a text adventure RPG. I always liked the RPG mechanics, so we were working developing something very small for mobile. And I had laid down like a had written the story for it, a part of the story that was horror, had some elements.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to now a Silent Planet, and I had the idea of developing a character that would have a duality about her, like the dark side, the light side, and I didn't know how to represent it. And so I thought it would be nice if she would be sort of like like a vampire. I was joking. Virginie was like, "What the fuck? That sounds crazy." So I start thinking how I can make it happen and what are the references that I have for that, especially in cosmic horror. And then I remember that there was this movie. It's around 1965. It's called Planet of the Vampires. Okay, which deals with a sort of similar idea. It's like they don't really drink blood. It's more like they take your life energy.
Mm-hmm.
Then I remembered another movie which is called Life Force. That it's a British movie that was released around 84, 85, I think. That it's based on a book that is called Space Vampires by Colin Wilson. That was written like a few years prior to that. And in that book, they deal with those ideas with space vampires that they drain the energy,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how we start working with that idea. We wanted something that will give like a sort of background for the story that will create like a whole world, as a sort of background for the main story.
Mm-hmm.
And an interesting fact is that actually the movie Aliens was inspired by Planet of the Vampires. And the game Super Metroid was inspired by Aliens. So it's interesting because it kind of really ties in Super Metroid and Castlevania for the ultimate Metroidvania. So it's
Yeah.
it's just interesting to see
The
all the links.
ultimate Metroidvania.
The ultimate.
That should be
We
like
did the
that
map.
sound on the starting screen when people get
That
on the menu screen. The ultimate
we
Metroidvania.
didn't we didn't even intend it because the idea was that we wanted to have something that will drain life force and all that in the lore.
Mhm.
And so without realizing, we ended up playing a game that was paying a lot of references to Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Super Metroid. And so we decided to just embrace it, to pay homage and just go all for it. That's the story.
Hmm. Got it. I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe you get to do a collaboration with Castlevania or something like that. Like,
we would love to.
why not? Like I've been playing these days V Rising, by the way, not sponsored any way, shape, or form. Uh, well, I am one of their content creators, but that's another story. And like they do have tie-ins with multiple universes. Like they have Simon Belmont as one of the bosses
Oh,
over there. So you never know though if the opportunity presents itself, and I want to keep my fingers crossed that it's gonna present itself for you. Who knows?
Thank you. Yeah, you never
Um,
know.
never know.
But how did the story evolve from just all right? We're gonna have vampires in space and it's gonna be cool. Like, how did it evolve from there?
Um, Go ahead, James. It's for your
No,
department as the for the narrative.
like I was saying, we had started this story back in 2019. Prior to that, for several years, I was working as a narrative designer slash gameplay designer and programmer in the previous company with a team. and we were working on text-based games for for mobile and with newer technologies, with like chatbot, etc., etc. And a VR. And so I really wanted to pursue something like that back in 2019, in which I would write something similar to Choose Your Own Adventure and Lone Wolf, etc. That they are books in which you have role-playing elements. And at that point, I had written like a big part of the lore, in which it happens sort of, it's like medieval, but in space. And so that was like the initial spark was I didn't want to throw that. I thought it had some nice elements. And so we decided to use it as a background element for our story. And then it's when we started creating all these, like, we could say, like, sort of galactic civilizations, going back to millions of years ago, And so the idea was to
In a galaxy
bring
far, far away.
sort of, yeah, but something much, much darker, like really like more cosmic horror oriented, And so the idea was for us to create a game in which people start playing, they start with the main story, and then suddenly they realize that it goes even deeper. And so as they explore and they continue exploring, finding more locations, etc., they realize that the story is much more complex than that. There is much more elements, and that even your character is not what or who we think she really is. So we wanted to follow in a sort of way. We could say that it's quite similar to, for example, like you were saying, Star Wars. Luke Skywalker. At the beginning, we think that he's just a random guy, and then we end up realizing, you know, how complex the whole narrative is. So in a sort of way, we like to say that it's sort of like a cosmic horror slash, a space opera at the same time, like how we're going with the story, with the narrative.
As well
Definitely.
as a Greek tragedy, sometimes you
Well,
refer to it.
as well.
But let's not talk too much about that because it's more of a secret. But yeah.
You opened the can of worms and you mentioned Greek tragedy. Of course, I'm gonna ask why. Why does it feel like it's gonna be a Greek tragedy
Well,
without giving too many details? Just the
well,
surface.
okay. Let's say that the main character is tied to either NPCs or boss battles in a way
She's
that is personal.
she's part. I can say this because we described it on a written interview, but
Yeah,
she's
you're right.
part of how did you say, like a legend, like a myth about her that she's not aware of. And so you realize that certain events in the game, they're going to be quite closely related to you in a really dark way, you know.
Hmm.
So that's
That's
as
enough.
much as we can say. Yeah.
Absolutely enough. It's gonna keep the people guessing until the game comes out. I love it. But we're talking about a lot of inspiration from something that's not really modern. And I kept mentioning it to you when we were chatting about this discussion. I kept mentioning it social media as well that honestly, I'm not a person that cares about nostalgia much. I just care about good games. And when I saw Silent Hill, I was like, this is a good game. Like, I didn't care much about it. This feels good. I want to talk to these people. But the question still remains: how do you bring that kind of nostalgia from old games to the modern Metroidvania player? Like, what are some of the elements that help with that?
So for us, it's really important, I would say, especially in the look wise. Like, for example, it was very important for us to get something just right for like the CRT filter over the pixel
I'm
art.
gonna ask if I can
Uh,
disable it.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah.
yes, you can.
Yeah.
It is.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes, not everybody likes it for sure,
Hmm.
but we wanted to give like that option at least for people
Look, when you live in a
to
communist country and you have old TVs and you were used to that as a kid, you want something modern.
yeah.
Okay? Alright.
But James grew up with a CRT, and it was very important to him.
Hello there,
But
brother
yeah,
from another mother. Go ahead.
James had a black and white TV
Yeah.
when he was a kid. Yeah, But yeah, so for us it was very important, especially in the look, in like the Easter eggs a little bit, references to old games, and just like the purity of the pixel art as well. For us, it's very important that everything stays like pixel perfect. So in that sense, yeah, we're really focused on that, like, and really reference to especially uh, what was the era of games, the console of games, did you say
Yeah,
that?
it was 16-bit and a bit 32-bit as well. Like the
Um,
references range from, oh, of course, there is a bit of Super Nintendo, but we were focusing much more on Castlevania Symphony of the Night, so the 32-bit era, and also Sega Saturn games, which
yeah,
had like
seriously.
incredible pixel art. So that's what we wanted to represent. And our first goal was to have something that looks quite good with CRT
Mm,
filter for those that really love that, and also for the people that doesn't like it. So for us it was
Mhm.
to find the right colors, because
mm,
as soon as you put a CRT, it's going to modify the colors and it might make it look better for some people, but without it, if you don't put the focus on it as well, it might look just less interesting. So for us it was really important to have the balance in between both, that it looks great for every type of player.
Mhm.
mm. I'm also curious. Like, this game obviously is kind of going to appeal to people who are from older generations, but at the same time, it's releasing in our times, so it's gonna appeal
Mhm.
to more modern gamers. So I'm curious, what can each type of player find? A few things that they can find that they're going to
Mhm.
enjoy based on what they enjoy as players.
So I think even the newer players are getting even more, for some reason, into old games nowadays. I don't know why, but I see a lot of
I can tell you
newer
the
players.
new games are crap. Excuse me, I'm a reviewer. I'm entitled
Why?
to say that I'm playing them, I'm
Some
reviewing them.
Sometimes it might be that. So when like something in the present isn't as good, you refer to the past. It's possible that's what it is. But I think there's that. Also, just the mechanics as well. We try to have something that is inviting for all types of player, in the sense that it's not challenging like a Souls like or anything like that. Players can
Mhm.
find their own way to play the game, or they can challenge themselves as well. So more on that later, but I think that's also what will appeal to newer players and more older players as well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh.
like when we didn't want to get stuck in the mechanics that were just for all games. Like I really love the retro games, Super Nintendo, etc., Nintendo, Sega Genesis, but we wanted to have mechanics that also reflect what people play, in modern games. So that's why we put a lot of emphasis on role-playing mechanics, but role-playing mechanics that allow you to customize your character. We could say, in the sense that you can quickly, respec your character, just because it's something that nowadays we live in busier times, so you don't have the time to replay the game, try a new build, replay the game, try a new build. So we wanted people to be able to just be able to really respec your character, quickly, without having to like waste
I hope they're
hours.
not making people pay for it. I hope.
Huh? No, of course not. No, no,
I,
no, no.
I'm saying this, because Virginie, you mentioned like you don't know why some people go back to games that are older. Well, I can tell you some of the reasons. Well, some of the games are straight up rip-offs, or they don't come with enough novelty that you can consider them a game of
Exactly.
their own. So you
Mhm.
look back at games that did this, and they're like, all right, I have the original, why not? And at the same time, modern games are stuck with mechanics that, let's say,
Mhm.
were long overdue. That's why I was asking if you are making people respec, because I've been playing or reviewing games where you need to pay a cost for respecing, and it increases
Wow.
and I'm like,
No,
I
no, no.
don't have
That's
time
yeah,
for that. Let me enjoy the game.
Mhm.
exactly. No, one of the first thing that we wanted is that I feel like there is a spotlight on games that they are like the Souls games, which I love, by the way. Dark Souls, Elden Ring.
I
Recently, I
love
was
them
playing
too.
Black Miku Kong, and Wushang, which I'm playing now. But
Mm,
not everyone is going to enjoy those games. So our target was to get the mechanics, some of the mechanics that make those games interesting, but at the same time, our main focus since the beginning was that like in any Souls game you can dodge, and if you get hit, the game is going to tell you, well, dodge better, just get good at the game. But in our case, we wanted to take that idea and we were like, no, 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 you can get good at dodging, but you can also get smarter, like try another build, try something else, respect your character, respect in other stats, try to do something else, use these items instead,
mm,
because we wanted that either you are really good with your skills or you are witty and you find a way to skill a boss in a completely different way, so that was the original intention, and like the first design principle that we put in place for the game.
mm. All right. Speaking, of design principles and how you want to make the players feel. When we were talking about the topics we want to cover, you mentioned something interesting, and that you wanted to focus, less on the platforming aspect and a little bit more on the exploration aspect. If you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah. Uh, you want to
Yeah,
say
well,
something?
You
I can start a
go.
little bit.
Go ahead.
So for us, like, it's very important the level building itself. So we want players really to feel like the place is lived in, and really
Mhm.
like they're exploring a mega complex. Like the how the levels follow one another, it has to really make sense in the environment itself. And so that's why we want players to really feel like exploring this weird mega complex. And where was I going with this? I forgot.
It's all right. It's gonna come back to you, James. If you have something on the pipeline,
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
like
Go
like
ahead.
Virginie was saying, we wanted to create a world that feels alive, and you know you get to explore it. So that's why we developed this system that is like 3 layers.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that let's suppose it's a bit like Zelda. I don't know if you played the original Zelda games, in which you have these dungeons and they are based on floor, basement two, etc., etc. And
Mhm.
sometimes you had to do something on the top floor that will change something on the lower floor.
Mhm.
So in case we wanted to do the same but sideways, so you can enter one door, go to the next plane, return, move to the other place, do something, and it might open a door here, it might do something else in this place. And also because that was our way of using the environment itself in a sort of like puzzle way, so people will feel like they are getting lost in these corridors. So for us, it was important to put less focus on the platforming. Like some games already do it really well, and we didn't want to try to just do something that will feel like a copy, like let's suppose Hollow Knight, Silksong, Ori. They already do it so well that, well, you're just gonna be doing something just similar.
It's great, but
And
it's not what
so
you're aiming for.
Mhm.
exactly. So we wanted to put the focus more into the combat
Mhm.
and the exploration. That's why we really put the emphasis into the combat system, the role-playing mechanics, and also the psionic powers that we use, that the character can use, which they are going to allow you to explore, to interact with the environment, and at the same time for the combat.
Mhm.
And another mechanic that we have is that the player can investigate the environment. They can find
Mm.
clues. They can read about the lore. So that's also going to help in the environment storytelling.
How much
And it's like a
can you
reward them.
tell about this mechanic? Because I am very curious about it now that you've mentioned it.
Well, a lot of people have compared it to Metroid Prime. I think it's called the Visor.
Yeah.
Scan visor, I think. Yeah. So
Oh,
it's a bit similar to that in the sense that you can scan around, scan the environment around, find like hidden things, hidden paths, find lore excerpts, um, and yeah, I think
You
that's
can you
pretty
can
much.
you can use it in several ways depending the upgrades that you have. Eventually, one of the upgrades is going to allow you to scan the corpses of the boss battles. You
hmm.
can return to the corpse of the enemy. You can scan it, and you're going to obtain like data that is going to allow you to create like abilities that you can use on your character.
Hmm.
And at the same time, you can also scan regular enemies, because you enter like a sort of pause menu in which you can scan the different things, like the environment and the enemies. And that too is going to give you data that you obtain, like let's suppose DNA data that allows you to build this sort of like we could call it like upgrades that you use to obtain like really smaller abilities. So that's one of the ways. And the other way is also, like Virginie was saying, that it's going to allow you to scan the environment for hints and for information and for the lore. So that way, we don't need to give it to you in a really direct way,
Mhm.
but you get to read the lore if you feel like, through exploring what's going on in the environment. So that's why we put a lot of emphasis on the environmental storytelling, So that's what brings the importance of the differences of the visual style of each area.
Hmm. I can see it being very interesting. At least I can speak from like my point of view because probably once you introduce that mechanic, you're like, oh my god, I can find hidden stuff everywhere, and then you start scanning everything. And maybe this is a hidden thing. Maybe this is a hidden thing, and then when you find it, you feel like you've achieved something. So I can definitely see why it would be appealing. Um, you know what? Something that we touched a little bit before, but I would like to come back to is how do you manage to create a lot of build flexibility for players so they can really personalize their playstyle, or maybe if something doesn't work, they can switch to something else or something else. Like, how do you give them that flexibility?
At the beginning, we started with a similar style like many RPGs, like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Just few stats, but the difference is that you will increase them yourself. And soon I found it to be a bit too limiting. So what I did instead was to design a system that would take elements that they were more akin to a system of skills like in Diablo 4 recently, but way simpler, of course, in the scope. So the idea was that the player could manage, for example, the dashes. Instead of having an unlimited amount of dashes that you can perform, you start limited by only 3 at the beginning. And you can increase them. You can increase the number of dashes through the game when you upgrade them. You can also rather increase the stat, but reduce the cooldown of the dash once you don't have anymore. You can reduce via stats the cooldown of certain psionic weapons, like the psychic abilities, when they are used in combat. You can increase your attack, your defense. You can also use different armors. You have up to, by memory, like 8 different armors that you're going to be able to upgrade. So there is and in total we have approximately like around 17 different stats, 17, 18, someone, you
Hmm.
know, maybe 20. So you have a lot of elements that you can upgrade and you can test, to build something a bit different. Do you want a character that is going to be tankier? Well, you might use the armor that is a bit tankier. Do you want to have a character that is a bit faster and offers you even more dashes? Well, you use the armor that's going to offer you that. And on top of that, each armor comes with a regular effect that increases with the when the armor is level
Hmm.
up, and it comes with a unique effect that is unlocked when you reach the maximum level of the armor.
Hmm. Leveling up
So
gear.
that's for
Interesting.
the so that's for all the level up and upgrades.
Yeah.
But apart from that, just in the combat itself, the players will be invited to play a little bit like they want, in the sense they can play more evasive, like more dashing, backstepping,
Yeah.
Or they can play very like timed by using the parry. The parry mechanic, if they time it well, they're going to augment their critical, and also they can make like special counter attacks as well. So also there is going to be like players can really play as they wish as well.
Just a little erratum. It's not the critical you meant when you
Yeah,
parry.
sorry,
But
the
yeah,
bonus.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that
I was like,
because you can increase your critical is one of the stats. You have the critical chance and also the critical strength. But one thing that affected the attack multiplier is when you parry momentarily until you get hit or you hit, you augment your attack multiplier. So let's suppose you parry 4 times. Next time that you're gonna hit the enemy, you're gonna hit way harder, you know. So that's how you invite the player towards parrying if they feel like. Else, if they wanna play more defensive, they can backstep, they can dash, and they can avoid damage in that way as well, you know. So that's why we have a system that is fluid in the system that you can be much more aggressive. You can play really well, really aggressive, sparring, you know, and doing other type of combat events, or you can just avoid the enemies, try to hit them from afar, get closer to them when there is less danger, you know. And on top of that, you have also the psychic abilities that you can use in combat. So you can use fire attacks, you can use cryogenic attacks, etc., etc. So those are the different mechanics that they are offered to you.
Hmm. No, I'm thinking with so much build variety, how do you balance everything so somebody cannot create, the ultimate build so everything else is redundant, but rather, as you said, you invite the player to explore this playstyle or this playstyle.
I'm gonna say
The
something simple with
you can,
Excel sheets.
yeah,
With
exactly.
Excel sheets.
Yeah, yeah. The best tool that you can use to balance role playing systems is with Excel, Google Sheets, etc. Because it allows you to you have to know your formulas, know everything that you are doing, and then start balancing. And if items risk destroying that equilibrium, you eliminate them. So you start, first you start by adding a lot of elements to the gameplay, and then as time goes, we started reducing, eliminating some, to start polishing. So we go by, let's say we go by subtraction, how we design the gameplay elements.
Mhm. I really hope it works out, because well, I'm coming from playing a little bit more Monster Hunter World, and like
Yeah.
if you look at that game, and if you ask people what's the best weapon, the general answer or the best build, the general answer is you are gonna get is they're all viable. It's just a matter of preference and what you like to play, and I hope that you can achieve that type of balancing where like everything is viable as long as you want to play that way.
Exactly.
Oh well. Oh, somebody's playing heavy bowgun in Monster Hunter World in chat. Lovely. Don't mind me. But what is some of the other inspiration that you are getting, from playtesting, or maybe what are people saying to you that you didn't think about and you're like, this is interesting. Maybe I want to include it.
From playtesting. Well, from TGS, it was very interesting. We had a lot of people testing the game, and it was very like we received a lot of valuable feedback. Um, uh, just like people seeing all the Easter eggs that we put from
Yeah.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night, like the load rooms. That was really nice to see. Uh, we received a lot of suggestions as well, but I can't remember all
What's
right
something really crazy that you've been told as a suggestion?
now.
we
Yeah, I
we
look at
didn't get yeah uh, we didn't get crazy suggestions, but
Ah, damn it.
it was mostly we did personally I didn't receive, but we received feedback concerning one of the mechanics that we were that we were testing. It was the grab
Mm,
ledge, and it felt a bit too technical for most
mm,
players. And so quickly during TGS, we changed it, and people tested, and they found it right away much more fun.
mm.
So that's just the regular process of testing mechanics, seeing if people really like it, really enjoy it, or not. And then if it doesn't work, you eliminate it, you switch for
Yeah.
something else. You know, but
Mm.
we didn't get any crazy ideas. So
Yet.
yet,
You
exactly,
never
you never
know.
exactly.
But outside of play of developing a game, do you folks have time to play games yourselves nowadays, or is it all just, even if you play a game, you are doing it for the sake of studying the mechanics?
Not much. James is playing Wuchang right now.
Wushang now, yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah, but
which is
not
fun.
not
Anyway,
immensely.
and
I think
Virginie
I
has been playing. You've been playing
s-
Tears of the Kingdom for the last 2-3 years,
oh
I think.
yes, I think more probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think I'll ever finish it. It's really like from time to time, maybe once a month.
yeah,
So it's taking forever. Every time I play it, I have to remember what I was doing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to find time.
The never-ending game, just like people never finish
Yeah,
Act 1 in Baldur's Gate. And they just restart it. So I've heard, I've
or
never played it.
Skyrim, right,
Yeah.
James?
I never finished it.
I mean, in Skyrim, you do everything and then you decide, oh, maybe I should start the main story.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I think I got more than 10,000 hours on Skyrim, and I never finished that game. Never.
Um, you just go there and you're like, there's the dragon attacking, and you're like, which one? I kinda killed all of them. And you show them a collection of skulls. Is this the one? Is this the one? Oh, maybe this one. uh, Anyway, we're kind of getting to the end of the discussion, and it's been absolutely lovely to chat with you and learn about the game, your inspirations, and what you're playing and whatnot, and your hopes and dreams for this game. And at the end of my interviews, I have this practice that I allow people to say, if you had one thing that you would say to the audience now watching, now listening, which one would that one be, and which one of you wants to start?
Let me just start everything.
Okay. Well,
The
first of
first
all,
time that James doesn't start. Go ahead.
well, I think it's just important to say that we are very grateful for the reception that we have received for the game already. For us, it was like really unbelievable and really heartwarming. And I think, yeah, I think that's what I want to focus on the reception.
I'm glad to hear that you had such a reception and they make you feel so good. Like, yeah, I believe you have a great community and it's gonna get better and better from here, right?
Uh, yeah, it's the same for me. I'm really happy with how it's resonating with people, and what I'm the happiest actually is that it's resonating with people of so many different communities. Sometimes we get messages in Spanish, sometimes in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, Russian, recently Arabic as well,
Hmm.
and everyone wants the game translated in their language, and we're going to try to do everything we can to accommodate the like most people. But we're really happy with the reception that we've been having in so many languages, and so many different types, so many different people, different cultures, and so and we get really cool feedback, really cool comments as well. So it's been really amazing.
I love to hear it. People speak about like games decide in the Western way or Eastern way or whatnot, but well, what you're saying just confirms that good games transcend those barriers. Like a good game is gonna be enjoyed and appreciated in multiple cultures and by multiple people.
Yeah, our original idea since we started the company was we wanted to have a logo that displayed Japanese letters and the game also in Japanese, like the subtitle, because we wanted to pay homage to all the like I've been playing Japanese games since I was like since '82. You know, I was 4 years old and I played my first game was a Japanese game. So first we wanted to pay homage to what brought me into making games. But at the same time we wanted to make a game that is going to resonate with different people from across cultures. Not just focus it on just one group or just everyone.
Well, with that mentality, I believe you're going to succeed. I'm certainly keeping my fingers crossed for you. Like, I've been looking at the game, and I want it to succeed because it looks amazing. But if not,
Thank
well, people are gonna see it in my review. Other than that, thanks again for joining me today and telling us a
thank
little
you.
bit about what's happening under the hood with Silent
Yeah,
Planet, and I'm looking forward to the release. Other than that, thank you folks for listening to us because we've been having.
thank you.
Oh, we have a question in chat. Please go ahead. What might your question be, dear viewer? Hmm. I need some elevator music in this downtime. Because if I start singing, well, we're gonna lose everyone.
So I won't sing either. Forget it.
uh, somebody is
Oh.
asking where is their Vertex Zero shirt? You promised them at
Oh.
Oh,
TGS. I don't know who they are,
that's
but I believe you have something to do.
Oh, we don't
we,
even have any for us yet.
I mean,
We need to
allow me
get
to
some
ask
more.
that question myself. I want a Vertex Zero
so
t-shirt
we're,
too.
we're gonna we're gonna start working. Yeah, we're gonna start
Yeah.
working on it because we
Mm.
have the variations of the main logo plus another logo that we did fancy metal because we wanted to have that sort of visual as well. So we're gonna try to put them really soon because we just came back like 1 month ago from TGS and it's been quite hectic. So we're gonna try to. We promise that we're gonna try to make it this year.
May I ask for one too?
Oh.
Now that the subject is here. Anyway. uh, anyway, that's a discussion for another time. But again,
Yeah,
thanks. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you to the
thank you.
people listening, asking questions, or just carefully listening. And if you enjoyed this conversation, folks, and maybe you think that someone else is gonna benefit from it, the recording is going to be available pretty soon. There's not gonna be a paywall or everything. I believe in freedom of information. If you didn't enjoy it or you think it's not gonna be useful, just tell us to fuck off, and we're gonna be on our way. Other than that, thanks again, and see you next time with another interview. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. See ya.